May I start? Yi dầu cầu giang đông đình, cầu tre lắc lẻo, cầu tre lắc lẻo gập ghềnh khó đi. It was on one rainy day back in Vietnam. The entire neighborhood got a power cut. I was about to take a nap beside my mom when she was singing me that lullaby. I can remember ardently the sound of raindrops back in our kitchen space, the smell of ground relief after a sweltering season, the feeling of tropical Julian breeze on my skin saying, forecasting a raining season is coming, a warmth from my mom's breath and her embrace around me. It's a feeling of ease and safe. Quickly, I asked her, Mom, what is your dream? As gently as possible, she replied, is it when you grow up, well, you have a family on your own, travel lots, eat lots of food that I can never cook to you, and live a happily life, and don't have to worry so much about financial status. I was too young to understand all of that. But then, for a moment, I encountered a thought. Mom, you wander off the subject. You didn't answer my question. It's not your dream. And it's unfair for you to bet it on me, calling it your dream. I was 10. Now, looking back on my childhood, there's one deliberately repeated pattern that now I can name it WIW. Which means when, ... I will. When I got home, I'll finish the homework and play with the kids. When I study a bit harder, stay up a few more days, I'll get into my favorite university. When I run extra 10 minutes per day, I'll lose more calories per week. I mean, we both know it does not simply work that way. Or, more iconically, if I scored best on the exam, my parents will be proud. And it's not even racial, because I've always been consistently a good child and an exceptional one in my family. The first one who speak another language. A first one who speak, the most convenient language in the world, got into university using that language. The first one who lived overseas, and the first one who flied. I kid you not. Now that I'm here, standing in front of you, sharing this story, I can barely recall this pattern occurred during the process of joining this talk. I was surprised. The moment I asked myself, how did that happen? It's always there with me. Because as I grow taller, the sentence just gets more complex in terms of contents. When I will, it just repeated and repeated. But for this talk, I was like, how did that happen? I'm just so enjoying myself doing this, signing up, knowing about this, preparing it, and presenting it in front of you guys. I think the starting point may explain. And it just happened that I bumped up to that one lonely stand in the middle of the campus ground, thinking maybe West 75 has updated their new menu. So I was like on my way finding out what else do they have this time against a lactose intolerant person like me. Yeah, it's actually a poster from THUAS Talk. Do you have something to tell us? That sentence just grabbed my attention right away. I said, I do have stories to be told. But then I recognized, ironically and necessarily, that I have to submit a first draft to sign up the event. That's the moment I hesitate. I stop for a while, thinking, now there's too much work for me. I'm in my last year now. I got jobs to handle. But then it turns out I could not focus on a thing the entire day. I have to do something to stop that beeping sound in the back of my head saying, you have story to tell. It's just a draft. It's not really a thing. So I decided to really deal with myself. Okay, It's just a draft, who cares anyway? Let's have fun with it. I don't even have any expectation that I got in, so that's why I freaked out when I got a confirmation email from Urban. So how I started, I love speech and ideas in terms of figurativeness. So I say, let's start with an idiom then. What kind of idiom? What kind of idiom? A flashback to when I was in a fabulous bookstore in Vietnam, holding an Oxford idiom dictionary in the palm of my hand. Big fish in a small pond it is. It's so random. The definitions from Oxford, it's referring to a person who ranks highly in a small community. But thanks to this talk, I have some further research. Is actually an announced effect on children who tend to have low academic self-esteem in selective school rather than the non-selective one. It's a social comparison process. So I was like, cool, that's the definitions for a very pictographic metaphor. But that's it? Where else can we go from here? So I challenged myself. I set a deadline. Let's collect perspective. Let's talk to people. Let's just bring them this saying with or without them knowing what it is. Let's ask them what is the first image that come up with their mind about big fish in a small pond. And here on the slides, I present to you one of my most favorite ideas or perspective, I said. The first one is just a fish come from nowhere. There's no pond. And a fish that has the ability to adjust anywhere possible. This makes me think, maybe someday we will be created, we will be programmed. We're not going to be born anymore. Yeah, still it's just a story. I don't have any conclusion for it, but I appreciate the perspective from a friend of mine. A next perspective, just simply a fish in a pond. A fish needs water. A pond can contain water. And a pond was decided to contain a fish. So it's like a mutual connection between a single organism with its surrounding environment. Just like us with other people, just like us with nature. And yeah, another perspective. Small fish in a big pond. I'm gonna zoom in. Yeah, it is. The point in here is this fish has a job. No matter how small it is, it has a job. I mean, I don't really care what is CIA, celebrating identify Asians, whatever you call it. But the story here is that no matter how small your existence, you can always do something. Somebody's doing something, somebody else doing something else. Or, yeah, no matter how tiny you are, you still have to work your ass off to pay a bill. It's no exception. And the last perception, it does look different from the first slides I showed you, but this fish is a pond. It represents a pond. Everything that it has been through. Every time it jumps from one pond to another, is collect pieces that now the fish contain things. And by containing, the fish is a pond now. So you are the pond, actually. Before you really comparing yourself with other people, let's take a step back. Where are you based? Not necessarily where you're from. I grow up in such lullaby. I grow up with food I digest. I grow up with love, expectations, with failure, whatever you call it, but it's for me to own it. So before you comparing yourself in another pond or with another people, you yourself become the pond. You are your own limitations. You contain certain things that only you know and you've been through and you own that. I know it sounds very hard to understand if people just like looking at the slide, what? Now you're the pond? But trust me, you own and you grow through what you've been through. It's easy to say, right? Starting from nowhere, for no reason, how do I find a motivation? Actually, motivation turns out to work reversely. Like the more you do it, the more you will see the progress, the more you will be motivated. So just take it from me how I do it. First, connection. And with or without you really noticing, it's something in our genes. You cannot deny it. So don't worry about that part if you sounds like you don't have any connection. You still, because you have a need, albeit in whatever form it is. But with connection, please bring your attention. It's not just you process, you take whatever happened to you, but please bring your attention to the pattern, to whatever works, whatever irritates you, whatever makes you feel happy. All of that matters because it's really come from where you based, who you are. We're taught to be someone. We're taught to perform something. We're taught to understand the world to get its favor. And we need to compare other people to see ourselves clearer. I disagree at this point. Because if it's how it starts, then I really don't know how to start. How can you just look at other people without knowing who you are? Like you don't have statistic to compare. So the easiest way is to just come from you. You need connection, not just with other people, but also with yourself. Let's come out to the world by who you are, but make sure you come in enough to yourself to be who you are. So with connection and attentions, you move on, you keep exploring, and then your perception shaped. I'm saying it's shaped, not set. So it is to be changed. If you just sit there thinking about, when will I start? How do I start it? Will you be able to start then? So trust me. Instead of asking, so when will you? Just start by doing it. Because when you're doing it, regardless of the outcome, the results, the expectations, like how I signed up for this talk, I don't even know I got in, but now that I'm here, and from the moment that I started to join this talk and the moment that I'm here, I own everything that is mine. The conversation, the connection with my friends when I'm talking to them, exploring this perspective, reflections, everything that happened to me, I own it. So today, also, there's one question now that I remember from a very dear friend. She said, your talk is wild. It's really hard to captivate the thing. What is your message? To answer that question, I don't have a message. I only have a wish for anyone who sit in this room for the past 50 minutes, enjoy their company. And for anyone who heard from me as well through the camera, yeah, I hope you enjoyed your company. And please, may I wish you a courage to keep moving. Because I don't know what the future holds, but as long as you still stay alive, things will change. It's just for now. It's just temporary. Things will change. So I wish you a lovely evening, and I'm Anna. Thank you.